the incumbent typically is fairly accomplished at what they do. They didn't get there by accident. And so as an organization, they learned to do several things and combine capabilities and knowledge in distinctive ways. At some point in the past, they innovated. They created a different business model. They came up with a better way to deliver value to customers. And as they became larger, they wanted to become more efficient. So those things became codified. People began thinking about things as processes or as kind of jobs, and they start to resemble a machine. And that's great. That's the way the world's supposed to work. The problem is that other people will come in and say, well, that may be the machine, but I can reconfigure the assembly line. If you want an example, I mean, one that's current for most people, compare the internal combustion engine to what Tesla has done with an automobile. Tesla didn't try to make an electric car. They started from the perspective of someone who thinks in electronics and redesigned the whole notion of what an automobile means. And just in the way it's configured, the way the wheels are configured, and the early electric cars, especially the ones made by the traditional OEMs, looked like a regular car with an electric motor. And that's not what Tesla did. They really reconceived the entire automobile, including the systems. That's what you mean by coming at it a completely different way. One of the things I like to do in our sessions or in our challenge sessions, when we're diverging, not when we're converging, but when we're trying to convince people to think more broadly, is say, how would Amazon view this? How would Google view this? How would people that we've never competed with before think about the opportunity in front of us, and how would they pursue it? And in many cases, it's instructive because it says, well, they'd come at it from this angle of how they could take a lot of people out of the system. They could automate this. They could use e-commerce and all these different things to get rid of retail and deliver X, Y, and Z and so forth. And so they'll come up with a fundamentally different business model than the one we have. And then the obvious next question is, well, if that makes more sense, shouldn't we be the ones doing that? And so that's a way to sort of get into that notion of how do you think about what other people might do in the future. Is maybe just role play and think like those people. And another thing you can do if you're really interested is actually go out and visit them and talk about your business and ask them how they might approach the same thing. There are a lot of ways to get at this topic. But if you want to think differently, you need to have different conversations with different people. And I'd add one more thing. One of the reasons we get so staid, right, is that we've been successful. People are in their jobs for a while. They've wired themselves to do things a certain way. Human beings, when you change the wiring, get very uncomfortable. They have anxiety, so they sort of resist it. And so as a matter of just human nature, we tend to start having the same meetings with the same people and having the same conversations over and over again. That's unlikely to lead to anything that's all that innovative. Maybe a little bit of continuous improvement, but not something that's fundamentally different or better.